Hello everyone, it's Bommich and welcome back to probably what is just going to be a bit of a ramble. Probably the only one I'm going to do before CitizenCon, which is next week, if I don't have some more fun gameplay video to bring you. So it's been a few days now since the Hunt is On event started for Star Citizen's 10th anniversary. And we had the not so subtle surprise of the F8C lightning dropped on us. I mean, Wing Commander level concierge got the email about it with that funny stereoscopic thing in it. But that was of course shared over the internet. And due to me being at home, being ill and having a lot of time to spend playing with internet spaceships and getting involved, watching the community, enjoying the new ships and so on, I figured I'd do my own little piece to reflect on with how the lightning and how I think it's safe to say that in the years that I've been covering Star Citizen, there has been a lot of things where people would say, oh, this silly decision has killed the game, or CIG's done for, etc, etc. But I don't think anything has quite polarised or split the community quite like the release of the F8 has. So where do I start? We'll start with the event itself, so the Hunt is On event. For a new event, instead of doing something like Xenothreat again, especially one that runs coincidingly with Star Citizen's 10th anniversary, I think it's a fantastic idea that was implemented pretty damn well for the most part. I do think, for the sake of the community, that the golden tickets should have been somewhat more difficult to find. Jumping on to get involved in the event was the first time I'd logged into this patch, and each patch drop, due to resets and your character getting reset and all your gear and your ship loadouts and stuff, I have a little ritual where I'll make my character, I'll armour them up, I'll go to the nearest vendor in the city, I'll buy a little bit of ammo, a few bits of food and drink to get me started, and then I'll dump everything I own into a ship in the hangar, which throughout the years I've gathered quite a lot of crap now. I'll throw it into one of my ships, usually my Carrack, and I'll fly to the station above the planet where I spawned at. This usually takes me 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. I've gotten it down to a fine art now, so 30 minutes sounds about right. After I'd done this on the event launch night, I then headed to my little Hurston farm spot because I went to Everest Harbour this time. I went to my little farm spot for the Day of the Vara helmets to start farming, and I found a golden ticket in the second loot box I opened literally 45 seconds after I had landed. It took me longer to get online and set up my character than it did to find the main event piece for this seasonal event, shall we call it. They're stupidly easy to find. So golden ticket's good, implementation could have been better. When what the tickets did, which was give you a 24-hour one-time use rental, as well as an option to buy the ship, fantastic. The ship that they unlocked, that's for a bit later. Then we had the platinum tickets. Again, the premise for them, the video that CIG made, the marketing, all fantastic. The event itself, not so much. There's been reams upon reams upon reams of Reddit, Discord and Spectrum threads bemoaning that CIG have focused starting the Platinum Ticket events on servers that were stacked with large Star Citizen streamers and their org mates and such. And I've no doubt that in at least a few instances this will have been the case. It's good marketing, it drives up hype for the game, it shows the insane combat and makes for fantastic viewing for the streamers. However, on the other side of this, I think it gets a bit skewed. I've only been involved in one of these massive server-wide hunts, and I have recorded some of it, so I'll put it up on the screen, but I don't think really enough went on for it to warrant its own video, as a lot of it was just running around after an A2 in Quantum. But to be fair, our event started innocently enough. A nearly full server and a CIG staffer, I think they were called Orbital Moonlight, spawned at the Jericho station, holding the ticket in a Javelin with other CIG staff defending them in F8s. The whole combat slew going on there was great. The server filled up with a few friends coming in, and there were a bunch of us joined as well. We weren't a massive org at the time. There was a gigantic space battle, the Javelin went boom, and then the chaos for the ticket started. This lovely descent into madness. There was a massive scuffle until someone managed to scoop the body up in an A2 drive-by, and then this person began bouncing around Stanton in an attempt to shake everyone chasing them in Quantum. I managed to join just as the Javelin got destroyed. We chased this person around for, I want to say, 30 to 40 minutes. They didn't succeed because once they got to Hurston, they got instantly rammed and then their own body was trying to get caught. However, in that time, despite seeing things like in the chat like, is jump down safe? Being asked by innocent gamers just wanting to play the game on this server, despite the server blowing up with people chasing this ticket, I saw at least 3 named streamers I know, their crews and their organisations, and several other big named organisations who I know, descend upon the server whilst this A2 chase was going on. So the optics of it being a streamer event are skewed, because as soon as word gets out, it genuinely becomes a clusterfuck. I think this could have been fixed very simply. Just lock down the bloody server as soon as an event has started. Nobody else joins it. It keeps the player pool innocent and not jaded enough that it's fair, without giant groups constantly descending and spamming to join the server and slowing things down even more. So that's the tickets. The event did have one other unintended consequence which irked me and a lot of other people, and that's that it broke the spawn mechanic for the day of the Vara helmets spawning in the loot boxes that the golden tickets could now spawn in, which after several days we've still not had a fix for, and we've just been told it's being worked on, with the suggestion that whilst it's broken we should go and carve pumpkins, which may as well be worded as go pound sand. So yeah, please do better on that, CIG. And of course we have the ship itself. The F8 obviously holds a hugely high pedestal in many people's hearts as this hyper-exclusive god-tier military weapon that few should have access to. Salty Mike showed a clip of Chris Roberts himself saying that this was going to be a reward for those that got the project to where it is today. As you can imagine, using it as event fodder, albeit the 10th anniversary event, has more than ruffled a few feathers now that after a very trivial piece of game time, Joe Public can now go out and buy the ultimate combat fighter, instead of it being locked down behind very high price concierge rewards. Now, I can understand the rage, at least some of it. Spectrum again is like a battlefield of those who seem to think they have spent $10,000 on a subpar skin for the F8, though I have to wonder if they really poured $10,000 into the game not for the sake of the project but for one ship. That ship not being something big like the 600i Executive Edition, or maybe later down the line something like an 890 Jump Executive Edition, which I think will happen eventually, but instead what will eventually be just a decent tier heavy fighter in the grand scheme of things with all the other ships going on. Now, I'm not Wing Commander level concierge, I'm not even close. I have a golden sniper rifle, I call it tacky and talk to it when I use it, but I'm not a whale by any stretch, so I can't help but feel there's a lot of entitlement behind what's going on with these folks. I can understand that it just being a skin, albeit a nice but not really anything special skin, being a bit of a cop-out for those who were already in that bracket. The exec level ship I like, and I think that's a nice reward, and for the most part those I've seen or spoken to who've dropped that amount of money on the game and own that variant are happy with it, and they're also happy that everyone else can get a hold of the ship as well. And that ship, now that we have access to it in game, is great. It flies gorgeously in game. It turns on a dime, it has a great loadout with a lot of room for changed or meta builds, it does shitloads of alpha damage for a single pilot, and it can take a hell of a beating as well. So if it were one or two of these things, that would be fine, but because it's all of these things together are fantastic, it means that the F8 outclasses a lot of other ships in game, and flying pretty much anything else now comes down to player skill. And this presents a big problem because now one of two things I think has to happen. The first possibility is that every other ship in the game receives buffs in order to bring them a little further in line with the F8 as it is now king. We know ships like the Inferno and the Ion still need work and balance, so it's like taking a step in that direction. The other possibility, which I think is a lot more likely to happen given the track record with ships like the Ion and the Inferno, is that once the event is in the past and the hype around the F8 dies down to quiet noise again, especially if another fighter is released, and doubly especially if it's something like a shiny alien fighter, CIG will wait until the F8C wanders down a lone alley and it will get utterly vandalised with the Nerf bat in some way to bring it down to every other ship's level. Two options, and only time is going to tell, but I think it's already a proven future given that track record. I think the issues arise with what CIG's word entails now, which is what's been damaged the most out of all of this. CIG's motto is something about embracing change, I don't know it off by heart, but a lot of backers, especially those in Concierge and more so higher tier Concierge, no longer feel that CIG's word can be trusted, and a lot of faith has been shaken with the release of the F8. Couple this with the promised changes going back years about what Concierge reward tiers were going to entail going forward, and nothing materialising except further squeezing of what those who arguably have put most into the game financially are getting in terms of benefits, is genuinely making people think twice now. Personally, this is why my own investment into the game is something that I've built up over the years I've been playing and enjoying it, instead of some lump sum that got dumped in the beginning with the promise of something exclusive. This is why on the channel here I don't cover anything like concepts, fancy JPEGs or could-bes in any large detail, and instead I focus on what's been added in new patches, is there to be enjoyed and is tangible, that we can play with and that you guys can go and play with as well. There's only one concept that did catch my eye when it came out originally, and that was the 600i, which I don't even have in my hangar anymore. I'm waiting for the rework. I am a Concierge member, and for the most part, the most I've done with that is use it for support. Shout out to CIG Puddle, who sorted me out the other day. And I've not used it as a crux for exclusivity to wave over other people's heads and say, I've got this shiny thing. CitizenCon is days away, and I think CIG has its work cut out now with what's happened with the F8. It has a 2-day event to really, and I mean really, show what they have to offer, what's coming up next with the game. They have to use this chance to show that their word means something more than we might have it ready in X amount of years. And I say this as someone who was staffing CitizenCon 2019 and watched the Jumpgate/Pyro demo live, and we still don't have Pyro. They have to show that Squadron 42 is in something, well, at least very far along the pipeline, and isn't something we're going to have to wait years and years for still. There's no point saying that this is make or break for them, as it's nowhere near that dire, and at the end of the day, so many people, myself included, are still playing, buying into and enjoying the game. But it has the potential to be a huge opportunity for them to revitalise bonds with the community and those that have invested an awful lot in the game. And I really, really hope they don't blow it. My last thought on things is that I wish I could have been in LA for CitizenCon. I really enjoyed CitizenCon 2019 and had so much fun, but not only am I an ocean away from LA at the moment, I'm also not very well and not much fun to be around because I've been a right grumpy bugger. I'll just be watching it like everyone else and probably playing CitizenCon bingo with Ollie and a few other people. On which note, let me know what you think below. Seeing the different opinions and thoughts from everyone just lately has been really interesting and kept me busy whilst I've been off work. So with that, I'll likely bring some more stuff out around or after CitizenCon, and I'll see you all then. Thank you for watching everyone, and I hope you enjoyed. If you like this and think I deserve it, please give it a like, consider subbing if you fancy sticking around. If you're thinking of taking part in the game, feel free to use my referral code on screen or click the link below for bonus in-game money that helps me out as well. See you in the next one.